accused President Biden of being locked and loaded to take me out, he said. And in between, he was in court as his legal team rested its case in his ongoing criminal trial. This is just a small example of the chaos surrounding Donald Trump's second bid, or at this point, third bid, to become the president of the United States. And today on Capitol Hill, presidents of UCLA, Rutgers, and Northwestern universities faced highly charged questions from a Republican led panel of lawmakers that is investigating campus anti Semitism. This is the third time the House Committee on Education and Workforce has summoned university presidents to testify in the wake of Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel and protests that have ensued on campuses across the country during the Israel-Gaza war. House Republicans today use words like violence, hijacking, and chaos. They asked the university leaders why so few protesters had been suspended. They showed videos and wielded a document with a bright red F grade. Now, this is the third congressional hearing with these presidents, and Republicans are becoming more and more intolerant and hostile to these university presidents. Meanwhile, more than 24 police officers in riot gear descended on UCLA this afternoon, facing off with pro-Palestinian protesters who had erected a new encampment on the campus hours earlier. Now, this move came amid escalating tensions between pro-Palestinian students and their faculty allies and administrators at the Los Angeles campus. The Academic Workers Union announced today that its ongoing strike over working conditions would expand to UCLA and UC Davis. This is scheduled to take place next Tuesday. Union members are contending that their free speech rights were violated when UC system leaders called on police to forcibly remove pro-Palestinian encampments at several campuses, including at UCLA. And while these hearings were taking place on Capitol Hill, over 1,000 Harvard students walked out of its commencement exercises today as a show of solidarity and protest because 13 pro-Palestinian Harvard students who were scheduled to graduate were denied an opportunity to do so today because they have been placed on disciplinary leave by the university. Hundreds of faculty members at Harvard stood up in support of these students being allowed to graduate, but the Harvard Corporation stuck to its guns and said, as long as these disciplinary actions are pending, these 13 pro-Palestinian protesters would not and were not allowed to graduate. And Daniel Perry, a former U.S. Army sergeant who was convicted of murdering a protester at a Black Lives Matter rally in 2020, was released from prison on Thursday after he was pardoned by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Abbott's decision comes after the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles voted unanimously to recommend a full pardon and the restoration of firearm rights to Perry. Perry was sentenced to 25 years in prison after he shot and killed a protester during the civil unrest. And the Supreme Court today reversed a lower court's ruling that a congressional voting map in South Carolina was an unconstitutional racial gerrymander that resulted in the, quote, bleaching of African American voters, quote, from a district. The vote was 6-3 with the court's 3 liberal members in dissent. A unanimous 3-judge panel of the Federal District Court in Columbia, South Carolina, ruled in early 2023 that the state's first congressional district, drawn after the 2020 census, violated the Constitution by making race the predominant factor. And the Justice Department today announced it has filed a lawsuit against Ticketmaster's LA-based parent company Live Nation Entertainment, seeking to break up the company over allegations that it created an illegal monopoly over the live entertainment industry. The government joined 29 states and the District of Columbia in accusing Live Nation of using its power to dominate the industry by forcing venues into exclusive ticketing contracts and influencing artists to only use its services, threatening its competitors with financial retribution. And in some really empowering news today, Cassie Ventura, the victim of that domestic violence we watched on video perpetrated by Sean Diddy Combs in 2006 in a hotel in Los Angeles. Well, Cassidy broke her silence today. She thanked her supporters and spoke out against domestic violence. This is the singer's first statement since the release of my correction, that video from 2016 footage that showed her being brutally assaulted by Combs. She said, "The outpouring of love has created a place for my younger self to settle and feel safe now. But this is only the beginning." She also wrote on her Instagram page that she was hoping that by breaking her silence, that it would help others who have not been believed and who are still suffering in violent relationships. This is the news, and this is Areva Martin in real time. And I'm your host, Areva Martin. This is your one-stop destination for today's trending news, expert analysis, and my unfiltered opinions. In this hour, I am happy to be joined by Isaac Wilson. He's a Democratic strategist and chair of the Democratic Party of Florence County, South Carolina. He's going to be joining us by phone today. And Dr. Hassan Jeffries is here. He's a professor of history at Ohio State University. And in hour two, you know what we do. We go deep. We dig behind those headlines and bring you those stories that people are talking about. Well, today I'm going one-on-one with Montgomery, Alabama Mayor Stephen Reed. Reed has just been appointed as the president of the African American Mayors Association. And as its president, he now represents over 500 mayors across the country. And Mayor Reed is taking the helm of this organization at a time when Black mayors across the country govern four of the largest cities in the country: New York, LA, Chicago, and Philadelphia. But many of these Black mayors face attacks from several state legislatures on their ability to govern their cities, as well as an assault on diversity and equity from activists in the courts all the way up to the Supreme Court. Mayor Reed has been Montgomery's mayor for the past 5 years, and he is the first African American to ever be the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama. He previously served as Montgomery County, Alabama's first African American and its youngest elected probate judge. I can't wait to talk with Mayor Reed about everything that's happening on politics, and particularly how Black mayors are faring in this very divisive political world that we live in. I also want to talk with him about some of the local reparations actions that we've seen take root all over the country, many being led by mayors like Mayor Tashura Jones of St. Louis. I also want to talk to him about how he envisions inspiring, or how mayors will inspire, Democratic mayors will inspire voters to the polls in this presidential election. So make sure you stick around for hour two for my one-on-one interview with the Alabama Mayor, Steve Reed. But before I bring on my guest, here's some good news. So 1,000 students walked out of the graduation ceremony today at Harvard University. I have some friends who are there at the university today with their kids celebrating. So I can't wait to hear their firsthand account of what that was like. We saw at the Morehouse graduation over the weekend, some students at Morehouse turned their back as Joe Biden, president, was giving his commencement remarks, although I think the president did an admirable job of allowing those students to protest while continuing to give his speech and making history by saying to the world that HBCUs like Morehouse matter, and that's why the president of the United States went there to give the commencement exercise. Well, something very different. No protest per se, or none that we've heard about at the graduation at the University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth. Now, their commencement ceremony had something special happen, and it wasn't protest. What they had was one of their speakers. His name is Robert Hale Jr. He was there to get an award because of his philanthropic work, and he just happens to be a billionaire. He is the president of Massachusetts-based Granite Telecommunications, and he's the part owner of the very popular Boston Celtics. So he was on stage during a rainy ceremony to accept the Chancellor's Medal for his philanthropic work. And unbeknownst to those graduating students at UMass Dartmouth, he was also there to do something else. He had worked out with a small group of the administrators at the university to have some armed guards show up with a big duffel bag. And in that duffel bag were envelopes 3,000 envelopes for the 3,000 graduates, and the envelopes were stuffed with cash. Yes, you all remember when Robert Smith gave the commencement exercise a couple of years ago at Morehouse, and he announced to the students at Morehouse that he was paying off their student loan debt. Remember what excitement, rippled through not just Morehouse, but the entire HBCU world and really throughout the country. What a generous thing for a wealthy person to do. People who make a lot of money can keep all of their money. They don't have to give it away to anyone. So when these commencement speakers show up at these graduations to announce to students things like Robert Smith, that he's paying off their debt, or like what Robert Hill Jr. did at UMass Dartmouth, it is quite remarkable. And it's definitely newsworthy and something we should all be celebrating. So back to what Robert Hill did. He's got these armed guards coming on campus, big duffel bags stuffed with 3,000 envelopes. And as each student was called up to get their diploma, he was there to shake their hands and to hand them one of these envelopes. And he talked about how hard these students had it because of the pandemic. And he talked about his own early career experiences and just how difficult, his life had been. But he was there to encourage the students with his words of inspiration, but also with a little cash. And in each of those envelopes was $1,000. Yes, it was 10 $100 bills. And he told the students, this is a gift, but it's not all yours. He says, you got to take this $1,000. The first 500 of it is yours to keep. Do whatever you want to do, celebrate. But one caveat, and that caveat was they had to take the second part of that money, the $500, split it in half, 500 for you, and the other 500, they had to give it to someone else. They had to pay it forward, an individual, a nonprofit, someone else who was in need. Because he was teaching them that to whom much is given, much is expected. And he was giving them a great big gift, but he wanted them to have the experience of sharing and being public servants and paying it forward. And that's not the first time Robert Hill has shown up at graduation and given away money. He's done it at multiple other colleges. And he talked about what some of the students have done with the half of the money that they've given away. Some have given it to family members who are suffering from cancer. Others have given it to homeless shelters. Some have given it to children's organizations, and just a myriad of ways that these students who have been blessed by Robert Hill have blessed other people. So at a time when graduations are being rocked by protests and students walking out and turning their backs on speakers, at this graduation, there was a whole lot to celebrate and nobody walked out. And I'm sure everybody that stayed was glad that they did stay, because they would have missed their blessing had they walked out of that graduation. So thank you, Robert Hill, for paying it forward. Thank you for using your billions of dollars to bless others. And thank you for teaching those students the value of giving back to their communities. And it's not just about them. So when they go out and get those big jobs and make those big checks, that they too need to pay it forward. When we come forward, more of today's breaking and trending news right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay with us. We've got a lot to talk about.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, Tavis Smiley here. We're getting closer to June 18th, and time is running out for you to register to join us for our historic symposium live on C-SPAN, Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Admission is free, but you must register at KBLA1580.com right now if you want to be in the audience when the nation will see for the first time ever a stage full of brilliant Black folk talking about the urgency of now. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. It's all going down. Well, it's actually all going up. Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. live from the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Again, admission is free, but we're filling up fast. So if I were you, I would log on right now to KBLA1580.com to reserve your seat. Caring about the climate, caring about the community. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The Supplemental Security Income Program provides monthly payments to help meet basic needs, like putting food on the table, paying the rent, or buying new shoes for growing feet. You may qualify if your income and financial resources are low, and you're 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI to start to apply. Produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, where climate is king. Climate is king. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back. And Isaac Wilson, Democratic strategist and chair of the Democratic Party of Florence County, South Carolina, is joining us by phone. And Dr. Hassan Jeffries is here. He's a professor of history at Ohio State University. Thanks to both of you for joining me today. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Jeffries. You probably attended a university graduation this season, and we're just learning that more than 1,000 people walked out of Harvard's 373rd commencement while chanting, "Let them walk," in reference to the 13 Harvard College seniors who were denied degrees after their participation in the pro-Palestine encampment in Harvard Yard. And the Harvard Crimson, which is the newspaper for the college, is reporting that the interim president and leadership seemed pretty unfazed, and they just kept, going about the business of the graduation. They knew protests were likely to happen today because there was such a debate over these 13 students who were not allowed to graduate today. What do you make of this 1,000 students walking out in protest and chanting? And I should note, the Crimson said they also booed the interim president as he took to the microphone to give his remarks.
Well, first, it's great to be with you, Areva, of course. It shouldn't come as a surprise that the students were upset, and also that the students showed a measure of significant solidarity with those who were not being allowed to participate in the commencement exercises. Harvard, as many other universities have, and many other university presidents have really cracked down, have come down hard on student protesters, on pro-Palestinian student protesters, from outside forces and donors who have really been upset with the demands and the activities of protesters. The protesters have been small in number, and we've seen the videos, whether it's been Columbia or other places. And so I think the students at Harvard should be commended because they're not only standing up for the 13, but they're also standing up for their peers around the country who have faced suspension, who have faced various disciplinary actions and measures. And they're saying that, this isn't over. Commencement exercises have come and gone. The summer is upon us. But I think they're letting us know that as long as this war goes on, one, but two, as long as these presidents and universities continue to use these sort of strong arm tactics both in terms of calling in militarized police, but then also refusing to talk to or negotiate or engage with student protesters, that these solidarity actions will continue.
Yeah, it's interesting because the UCLA Chancellor Gene Block was on Capitol Hill today as Republicans were, doing their dog and pony shows, screaming, shouting, making all kinds of bold-faced attacks on these presidents, those UCLA, Rutgers, and Northwestern. And as the president of UCLA tried to assure this GOP, I'll call him a mob, that he took anti-Semitism and all forms of hate seriously, 24 riot gear police officers were back at UCLA because pro-Palestinian protesters had erected a new encampment. So whatever these universities are doing, I shouldn't say all of them, but many of them, it is not working. What do you make of that? I mean, so again, Professor Jeffries, I keep asking you this because you're on the campus. You see what these university presidents are up against. So they're trying to, balance being in good stead, I guess, with Congress out of fear that these Republicans could vote to somehow impact federal funds that they get. I'm just trying to understand why they even go, but I guess they have some obligation because they do receive, I would imagine, significant federal funding. So they're trying to walk that line. And as you said, they've got the donors in their ears, many of them who are saying they're pulling their funds if they don't do more to protect the Jewish students. And then you have these pro-Palestinian students who are saying they're not safe on these campuses. So it seems like it's quite a conundrum for these university presidents, and very few of them seemingly have figured out how to handle it in a way that's satisfactory to all the sides involved.
But these university presidents are acting like this is the first time there's been campus protests, at their universities. I mean, at what point do you learn the lessons from the past? And unfortunately,
but don't you think it's a little different now? But let me ask you this, Professor Jeffries. It seems different now because, yes, there have been protests. There have been Vietnam protests. There have been, South African end apartheid protests. But this protest seems to me the difference is the issue that's being protested, the issue of pro-Palestinians versus the Jewish students. The Jewish students and the Jewish donors seem to have so much power in terms of what happens on these campuses. I mean, we're getting a real good look at who controls what in terms of these elite schools.
No, there is a measure of truth in that. But I would also say when we go back to the protests and the anti-Vietnam War protests, you had donors who were saying the same things from a different faction, but who are putting pressure on university presidents, saying, if you don't crack down on these unpatriotic students, then we're pulling funding, we're going after your job. So the pressure points are coming from different areas, but I think the end result is the same. You have outside groups, donors, as well as congressional officials, elected officials who are putting pressure on you to clamp down on the free speech rights of students and faculty, and small groups of students who are protesting. And the response is these, in most places, is not to negotiate or to bring in, military, highly militarized police, or in the case of UCLA, as an example, to do nothing in your backyard, to do nothing while counter protesters, these violent pro-Israel protesters, come in and attack nonviolent pro-Palestinian protests. And I was disappointed with the chancellor's response today in saying that, well, I should have done more. Yes, I agree, you should have done more. But his more was, we should have shut down the pro-Palestinian encampment earlier, rather than we should have protected them and against these outsiders who were attacking them. That was probably the most disappointing thing of the day.
Yeah, those presidents, I don't know. I cannot think of anyone other than the secondary school leadership that seemingly could, stand their own with the Virginia Foxes of the world. It was the superintendent for the New York City schools, I think, who really put them in their place. But the university presidents have just been unable to deal with the questioning, Isaac, from these GOP lawmakers. And I guess the question for you, given that you are a party chair, what does all of this mean in terms of the election? I think that's what has so many people nervous. If you still have students protesting in September, in October, in November, is this going to be a negative for Joe Biden?
It's certainly going to be negative for us, Reva. He has to get out in front of this, and we have to start sending Kamala Harris out to these colleges as well. It seems like she can get the grasp and get the message across to our students more so than Joe Biden. She connects with these students. I've seen her in action. She connects. And I think she needs to be out front when it comes to this issue specifically. And we need to get more of our young people out. You need to get Cedric out. You need to get Steve Benjamin, who was the head of marriage. So all of these young people that you have on your staff that can tout your policies and speak to the people and speak to those young folk. You need to have them more on the trail and getting in front of those young folk, because he's just not getting the message across. And if we have that problem, I'm just afraid that they're going to sit home and not go to the polls.
Yeah, that is it's scary because, the chancellor thought, I guess he had it handled at UCLA, and I'm sure he was getting 911 text messages from his staff that a new encampment had been set up, and they had given, I guess, the same directions, send in the LAPD and riot gear. So they don't seem to be learning, and the students are not going anywhere. They're going to come back. They may disperse for the summer, but they're going to come back. And this is going to be an issue in the November election. When we come forward, we got to talk about Donald Trump. He was up in the Bronx today giving a speech before Black and brown folks, saying that Joe Biden has been the worst president ever for Black people. We got a lot to talk about. Stay with us, KBLA Talk 1580.
Is the right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Massachusetts Institute of Technology is getting hit with a civil rights complaint over its program designated for women of color. The Equal Protection Project claims the program's eligibility requirements are openly, racially, and sexually discriminatory. The Creative Regal Women of Knowledge program is marketed to women belonging to minorities and transgender women and non-binary participants. It aims to give networking opportunities and financial assistance to women of color. The EPP alleges the program violates Title IX. A senior advisor to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is leaving his independent presidential campaign because of what she calls a hateful and divisive atmosphere. Angela Stanton King announced her departure as the campaign's head of Black voter outreach, saying the campaign no longer aligns with her values. King wrote on social media that she will continue to advise Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on key community issues. She was one of Kennedy's top advisors on the issue of abortion. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Taking a look at your drive in Orange County, starting in the city of Orange on the 55 North before North Ranch Road, Lincoln Avenue split, and accidents on the right shoulder with a 10 to 15 minute backup from Chapman Avenue. Be advised that the right shoulder is closed off over in Laguna Hills on the 5 North between Oso Parkway and El Toro Road until further notice. Right now, there's a 10 to 15 minute traffic jam and backup from Crown Valley Parkway. A motorcycle involved accident has been cleared from Laguna Hills as well on the 5 South before El Toro Road, but stop traffic and recovery continues from Alton Parkway over 20 minutes.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Major League Baseball is trying to improve the number of American Black players on the pro level, but the percentages keep dropping. The Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sports, a research group based at Central Florida University, released their data today on the current number of Black players on Major League rosters this season. Only 6% of the players on MLB's 30 teams are Black. That's down from 6.2% in 2023 and 7.2% in 2022. When the Institute first started tracking these numbers in 1991, 18% of Major League players were Black. MLB still has some work to do to get more Black players in the game. The Lakers aren't the only NBA team looking for a head coach. Cleveland fired J.B. Bickerstaff today. The Cavaliers won 99 games over the past 2 seasons with Bickerstaff and made it to the second round of the playoffs this year. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Pick up the drum.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey!
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Have you been a victim or witness to hate or discrimination? Contact the California versus Hate hotline to report the incident by calling 833-8-NO-HATE or visit cavshate.org. They'll help you access resources and support, including legal, financial, mental health, and mediation services. California versus Hate is not affiliated with the police, and you can report anonymously. Use your voice. Report hate by calling 833-8-NO-HATE or visit cavshate.org. Res Radio 91.3.
City of Los Angeles tenants, verify your emergency renters assistance program status today if you applied for the program. Tenants approved for rental assistance are protected from eviction for non-payment of rent through May 31st, 2024. And it's illegal under law for landlords to refuse rental assistance to you based on your source of income. Refusing assistance can be used as an affirmative defense in an eviction case. So check your application status now at housing.lacity.org. That's housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We are back with Isaac Wilson and Dr. Hassan Jeffries, and we are tackling today's breaking and trending news. And in hour two, Montgomery, Alabama Mayor Stephen Reed is going to join me. We're going to talk about all things mayors, what's happening with mayors, particularly Black mayors around this country. So make sure you stick around for hour two. All right, Professor Jeffries and Isaac, Trump is in the Bronx right now holding a big rally. And one of the things that's clear to me about Trump and his rallies, they are like circuses. I mean, it is like, I was just reading this feed, pandemonium. You got pro-Trump folks out with signs that say F Biden. You got anti-Trump people out with signs that say F Trump. You got pushing and shoving and near fights. And you have Trump's team, you know, telling the lies they typically tell, that 20,000 people tried to register for the event. It crashed the internet, and the park permit only allows 3,500. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people out. And it reminded me of something that I read recently. It was a piece by a journalist who said that Trump is enjoying these high poll numbers because people are seeing him more in the vein of celebrity, like that guy that was on The Apprentice that they loved. And because he hasn't been out campaigning a lot or talking about a lot of issues that someone looking to be president would do, that they're not thinking about him as Trump, the politician, or Trump, the formerly elected president. And like Americans, or Americans love their celebrities. That's why he's enjoying these high numbers and all of this support. What do you think of that, Isaac, in terms of that analysis and these thousands of people who are apparently in the Bronx to see him?
They say the heart grows fonder in absence, right? And I think he's been absent from the trail. Only time they get to see him is on TV, and they're just on him like pawns in a pond somewhere. Donald Trump is loving it because he knows that he could go to jail, so he might well go in and love things right now how it is. And he's not on the trail. He doesn't have to do much right now. So I would love those numbers as well. But he's out still getting those large numbers because he understands that he's going in democratic cities and so I'm gonna go and do what I can say because I know these people love me. They at least love my boldness. They at least love that I'm going to say what I'm going to say and I'm going to stand behind my word in some form or another. So I think that he's loving it because he understands he still has a chance to grab those people that are unsure and that his people always are going to be by him, whether wrong, right, or indifferent. So he doesn't really have to campaign, but when he does, they come out in droves because, like you said, they're getting to see their favorite celebrity like they're at a concert. No matter if they're in the rafters, they're happy just to be in the presence in the same building as Donald Trump.
But is that going to be a problem, Professor Jeffries, for the Biden Harris administration, who are old school politicians who people don't see as rock stars in that same way, who aren't able to attract thousands and thousands of people at rallies? I mean, people vote how they feel. So if they feel good about Trump because he's like one of their favorite reality TV celebrities, how does Biden and Harris even run against someone like that?
Well, this speaks to the problem that Hillary Clinton faced in 2016, of course. Trump wasn't running with any political history. And so he was trading on his personality. He was trading on his ego. He was trading on his celebrity. I think what the Biden-Harris campaign has to do is run an unconventional campaign because you're running against an unconventional opponent. And they cannot allow Trump to simply play to the celebrity. They have to bring up his past, the things that he actually did while he was in office, all of the madness, all of the insanity, all of the terrible policies, and make clear that if elected, round two will be worse than round one. And so they have to be clear and aggressive and take the gloves off. And remind people of what a Trump presidency was so that they're clear about what it will be.
Okay, I hear you, Professor Jeffries. I don't know if these conventional politicians know how to run an unconventional campaign, because when you look at everybody that's, hired, or the people that are part of the team, that's what they do. They run conventional elections. They run not elections, but conventional campaigns for elected officials. And I hear you that they've got to do that, but they can't get any airtime. All the oxygen in the room every day is being taken up by the celebrity guy. So I have to search high and low to find articles on Kamala Harris, what she's doing, high and low, even to find something on Biden that's not, so hidden that unless you are a news junkie like me, you're not going to see it. So I hear you, but how is that done at a practical level?
So at a practical level, and drawing on the lesson of 2016 as well as 2020, the Biden-Harris campaign cannot rely on conventional media, mainstream media, to get its message across for them. They swallowed whole the Kool-Aid, and they're playing with the ratings that we're seeing time and time again. Too many shows are not taking what Trump says and does critically. They're not offering a critical analysis. They're just simply saying, oh, and Trump says this, as they're treating Trump as a conventional candidate, knowing that he's not, and enjoying the ratings from his buffoonery. And so the unconventional aspect, I think, that the Biden-Harris campaign, and really anyone who's running on a Democratic progressive platform has to do is say, okay, how can we reach our base? And how can we reach them directly? How can we go around mainstream media? Part of it's going to be ads, but a lot of it is going to be grassroots work. It's going to be online. It's going to be social media. It's going to be unconventional, non-traditional media forms. They have to double down. They have to invest in that. Otherwise, we will be looking at another Trump presidency.
Areva, if I may, I think the other part of it is Democrats hold us to a higher standard. They can't go out and say the stuff that Donald Trump says. We have an old guard. Those 60, 70, 80-year-olds are saying, whoa, Kamala, you said that? Oh, no, I can't go vote. Whereas a 67-year-old Republican is saying, that's Donald Trump. I'm still voting Republican. So I think the standard is different from a Democratic space of running over a Republican. I think that's the line that they are kind of straddling, saying, how far do we go before we lose the base of our party? Because that's not the morals and that's just not how we talk, and that's not how we do things in a democratic space.
Right, but if we do things the way we've always done them in this world that is so different than the world where those tactics may have been successful, I'm concerned. So again, go back to my celebrity status reference. So people aren't seeing Trump, as you said, Isaac, doing the traditional things that campaign folks do on campaigns. He's not running like Ron DeSantis. He's not running like Nikki Haley. He's in court on the courtroom steps. That trial is going to end next week, so at least that will be over. And then it remains to be seen what he is going to do, if he's going to do any of these rallies. But you do have some celebrities out, you know, and I hate to even use that word, but people think of them as celebrities. You know, Cardi B, you know, different folks, Sexy Red, different people. They don't have huge political platforms. They don't have platforms of people like you and me who are following them, but they do have people, you know, who love music, who love hip hop. Amber Rose, she's out, you know, saying she's Team Trump. Where are the counter folks, the folks with real big platforms like them, whether it's in music or film or TV, that are really driving home that Biden message? Since we are such a celebrity-driven society, as much as those folks like you and I and, you know, Professor Hassan, you know, that's not where we live, but a lot of people live there and they like train wrecks and they like their reality stars. So when we come forward, I want to talk about what is the Democratic Party doing to engage these folks that would be considered influencers to cause them to, you know, speak the language of democracy and speak the language of the Democratic Party in preparation of this upcoming election. Stay with us, KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
We're not just a thermometer recording and broadcasting popular opinion. We aim to be a thermostat, transforming the conversation about climate justice in our community. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
All right, Isaac. The question is, where are those big influencers that are out there talking about supporting, endorsing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Do we have any? Are we trying to get any? And what can we expect to see?
They are talking to some people behind the scenes. I know in particular they're talking back to Nick Cannon. Remember, Nick Cannon was instrumental during Obama's run, and he supported Biden in the first run. But the difference is now the Israel-Palestine thing is actually bothering a lot of people, and a lot of people are just scared to come forward, and that's the constant thing. Hey, you guys got to get ahead of that, or hey, I'm not touching it. I'm with you. I'll tell people to vote for you, but I'm not traveling with you. I'm not going to be a surrogate for you. So I have a good friend who is over that department, and there's not many on that list. Lady Gaga will soon. She'll go out and stuff for him soon. But other than that, there is no major player. Remember, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, major in 2020, when he ran. He's not in the headlines now. So I think the Israel-Palestine issue is a big issue for a lot of them. They don't want to lose their base. They don't want to be a part of it. They'll just support them from afar. So we have a lot of trouble in that support area right now.
Yeah, I'm hearing the same thing with finance. So I do a lot of fundraising, and a lot of my fundraising folks are writing checks, but they don't want to show up at the events. So, usually you write the check and you want to get there. You want the photo. You want to be in that photo line. Folks are like, I think I'll pass. Here's my check. That's concerning us as well. Those of us who, involved in finance piece of this. But Professor Jeffries, you have a pretty famous brother who isn't a professional rapper, but he raps all the time. What is he doing? Is he out there? He relates to folks in the Bronx and Brooklyn and urban communities. He can get down with the best of them. What is he doing?
No, he'll be happy to know that you think he can get down with the best one. That's the last thing he needs to hear. Lord have mercy. But no, he's out. He's out and about. He's crisscrossing the country. It's hard for me to catch up with him. I talked to my mom. You talk to Hakeem? No. You talk to? We don't know where he is. That's because he is very much. He's in New York in his district, but when he's not in his district, he is literally around the country, not just supporting Biden, which is critical, but of course, as Isaac would know, also working and helping to support Democrats down ballot. That is part of his charge, really around Congress, but also even for some of the local elections. So he's out there. But, as Isaac pointed out, it's a challenge. The war in Gaza, the war on Gaza is posing these real problems, not just simply, students who are upset. It's, the administration for many is not on the right side of this, and they need to get on the right side of it. They need to show some more balance and show that they're really trying to get out and bring this to an end. And until that happens, I'm afraid that they'll still be facing these issues of people not wanting to be not wanting to show up in that particular way. And that's the unconventional kind of approach that they absolutely need to be successful. This is a get out your base election. They're not going to win over any Trump voters with whatever they're trying to do. The 3 people who are still undecided, they ain't worth the energy. It's about people who traditionally come out, the Democratic base. And just like for Trump, it's going to be the Republican base. It's going to be his MAGA base. This is going to be a turnout election. If you can't turn people out, you won't win.
Okay, so Democrats get on our nerves, quite frankly. So Nikki Haley, who talks so much trash about Donald Trump, unhinged, unfit, old man, go sit down, go to a nursing home. I mean, she just said about as many bad things about him as she said about Joe Biden. But yesterday, Nikki Haley fell in line. So, Isaac, I know you say Democrats, we're all, moralistic and have all these standards, but should we be talking about how we get a party that can fall in line? Because if anybody can fall in line like Nikki Haley, if Nikki Haley can literally come on national television, humiliate herself, and say she's voting for Donald Trump because she is, we can't get folks on the corner who ain't really paid close attention to anything. Then they see a couple of headlines about the war, and now all of a sudden they're pundits on, geopolitical issues in the Middle East. They can't vote for Biden.
Well, I wasn't shocked at Nikki's response on yesterday. She will vote for Donald Trump. I wasn't shocked at all. She's eyeing for 2028 to run again, probably. So I'm not. You're going to get those base of people, so I need to fall in line. But we aren't that kind of party to just fall in. I wish we were that kind of party, but we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians in our party. Everybody says that, I got the right idea, we should do it. It's grassroots this. No, it's this. No, it's that. And so the Republican Party just say, hey, we're just going to follow one man and he's going to lead us. And we just simply cannot do it. And I don't understand why. If it's working for them, why don't we do it to work for us? If Joe Biden's the leader of the party, let's follow what he's doing with some new ideas in there. Joe's going to have to listen as well, because I'm sure Donald Trump is listening to some people and he's doing what they're saying because he understands that he can't get out there right now or he can't win this thing on his own. And don't be shocked if Nikki Haley's in the room when we talk about Donald Trump picking a VP. Don't be shocked when she's in the room or in the cabinet with Donald Trump. It won't be a shocker.
No, not at all. And Professor Hassan, I literally have friends, like my super educated law school, Ivy League trained friends, who are telling me they're not voting. One woman told me Biden should have never run for office. So, I mean, how can you literally take time to argue with people like that? That's the most educated, group of people on the planet. And if they're not voting for Biden and they know all the things he's done, the federal judges, 200 federal judges appointed, majority, largest number of Black women judges ever appointed by Joe Biden. Trump, 65% of the judges he appointed white men. I mean, so we just go down and down. $7 billion of student loans, relieved yesterday, 2 days ago. The list is so long, but the visceral response and the anger that people have about Biden and still, people ragging on Kamala, it's very difficult to overcome and quite exhausting for those of us who have friends who literally say they're not voting and the man shouldn't have run. And now we're this deep into it. Hopefully you don't have friends like that, but give me some advice from my friends.
I have a lot.
Yeah, I think we all know very educated people who make some really stupid decisions. And it's not just limited to politics, it's in life as well. I think it's incumbent upon us to make a decision because time is running out. Where do we want to put our energy? And if there are folk who, despite the reality of the truth and we're presenting these facts, if they're just not going to move, they're just not going to move. Then we have to move on to other people because we don't have the luxury of two things. We don't have the luxury of time and we don't have the luxury of lying. It's real easy to organize people when you're unwilling to tell the truth and you're willing to say everything. That's the advantage that the Republican Party has built around this cult of personality. We are burdened with a sort of ethics and morality and truth. And so at a certain point, when folks don't want to deal with that, then we have to move on from them.
Yeah. A lot of folks are saying they don't know the vision, Isaac. What Biden is going to do. Again, Republicans don't need a vision. They don't care what the platform is. Democrats want, a 10-point plan. They want a 20-point plan. They want to be inspired. We want a whole lot. And I don't know if there's time. This Gaza thing, what could Biden do in this short period of time that wouldn't piss off the Jewish constituents and cause all kinds of other issues to appease some of these activists and progressives on the left?
At this point, if people still need a plan for Donald Trump, for Joe Biden, I have no word for them. The man has done everything he could do in the 3.5 years that he was there. There's about 30 things that he has done that is going to help this country thrive for the next 20, 30 years, even more. So I think he gets out and he touts his plan and say, hey, yeah, I wasn't up to par when it came to the war, but here's some other things that I did, and we're still going to fight that battle. And here's where I stand on that. Israel needs to stop. We are with our brothers and sisters in Gaza, and I'm trying. He's trying. He can't go over there and just say, "Hey, stop." I think people have to take be realistic about this. That he can only call for it to stop. He can't make them stop. He just can't.
But hold on a second, Isaac, real quick. We're running out of time. What people want him to do is to stop funding Israel. They're saying,
Well,
okay, we can understand you can't make them stop, but
he can
cut
stop
off the
doing that.
money.
Yeah, he can stop doing that. He definitely can do that, but Israel's still going to do what they do.
We are out of time. Thank you both so much. These are complex issues. Obviously, we're not going to solve them in an hour, but we're going to keep taking a stab at them because we have to just, lean into this. We got to just embrace where we are. And those of us that are making good decisions and voting for Biden and Harris have to try to convince other folks to make good decisions. Thank you so much, Professor Jeffries. And thank you, Isaac. Always pleasure to be in conversation with both of you. When we come forward, we're going to be talking with the new president of the Mayors Association. This guy is running an organization of 500 mayors. And he, too, is having to face some of these real issues, particularly those Democratic mayors in red states. So stick around for Mayor Stephen Reed right here on KBLA Talk 1580.